Sandra was looking for something. She was looking for love. Not just any love, but the kind that made her heart beat fast and her head feel dizzy. Sandra had 3 boyfriends before she met the one she thought was perfect. The first boy she dated was Tunde. Tunde was a gentle soul. He was always kind. Every morning he sent Sandra a message. Good morning, my sunshine. Every night he called her to say, sleep well, my star. When they walked together, he opened doors for her. He bought her gifts, small ones, but from his heart. He never looked at other girls. But Sandra wasn't satisfied. One day, told her friend, Tunde is too loyal, too soft. He never gives me reason to cry or feel jealous. How will I know he's a real man if he doesn't cheat once in a while? Love is not supposed to be this quiet. Her friend's eyes grew big. But Sandra, he loves you. Yes, Sandra said, but love is not just sweet words. Love should come with pain sometimes. That's how you know it's deep. So she left Tunde, just like that. Then she met Musa. Musa was soft-spoken. His voice was like a quiet song. He didn't raise his voice, not even once. When Sandra was upset, he listened. When she cried, he wiped her tears. He liked to talk about dreams and the future. But still, Sandra wasn't okay with his ways. One night, Sandra laughed with her friends. Musa is not a man, she said. He can't even raise his voice. He should shout once, or even slap me small, make me cry and beg him. Then I will feel something. But this one, always saying sorry, like parrot. I don't feel anything. Her friend asked, but he respects you. Isn't that enough? Sandra shook her head. Respect is good, but where is the passion? Where is the fire? Love should shake your chest, not massage it. And so she left Musa too. The third one was Ebuka. Ebuka was the gentlest of them all. He carried her bag when they went to the market. He helped her cook. When she made a mistake, he said, "It's okay, my dear." Even when Sandra shouted, Ebuka smiled and said, "I'm sorry if I hurt you." But Sandra, she wasn't still happy. One day she told her friend, "This one cannot even slap me or send me away and call me back crying. How will I feel like a real woman in love if he doesn't know how to break my heart and fix it again? A man should be strong, not always soft." Her friend looked at her with worry. "Sandra, are you sure that is love?" "Yes," Sandra said. "A woman must suffer small to enjoy big." So she left Ebuka too. One by one, she pushed them away. Tunde, Musa, Ebuka, all good boys, all kind hearts, all trying to love her right. But Sandra wanted something else. And then she met Mark. And that is where the real story began. Mark, tall like an Iroko tree, shoulders wide like a hunter's drum. His eyes didn't laugh. They burned, like fire waiting to jump. His voice was deep, and when he spoke, even silence listened. He didn't call her every night. He didn't send sweet messages. He didn't beg. He didn't chase. In fact, on the first day they met, Sandra said, "Good afternoon." Mark just nodded and walked away. Her heart jumped. The next day, he came to her shop. He dropped one nylon full of fruit and said, "You're too beautiful to buy bananas by yourself." Then he walked out before she could reply. Sandra stood still, her hands cold. Her stomach danced. Days passed. Mark came and went like thunder. Some days he made her laugh with jokes. Other days he sat quiet and watched her. No begging, no kneeling, no sorry, just presence, power. Then one evening, when she tried to argue about something small, Mark looked her straight in the eye and said, "Lower your voice, Sandra." That voice did not shout, but it carried weight. It pressed her chest. and inside, something sparked. She went home that night and whispered to herself, "Yes, this is love." At last, she had found the one that made her feel small, the one that didn't smile too much, the one that didn't beg, the one that made her heart beat like drum during war. Every morning, Mark came with a gift. One day, it was a basket of ripe mangoes. Another day, it was wrappers with colors that danced like fire. Then came the gold earrings, the bracelet that sparkled like early morning dew. He dropped them all without noise and said, "You deserve more." He called her my queen, my light, the woman who made my heart wake up. Sandra blushed like a shy bride. Her smile became brighter. Her walk changed. Her laughter returned like dry season rain. At night, Mark cooked soup. Hot, thick, sweet. He said, "Sit down. Let me serve you." He wiped her mouth. He rubbed her feet. He called her beautiful until she started to believe it. They would laugh till midnight. Sometimes they danced in the sitting room barefoot. Sometimes he sang small songs into her ear. People in town began to whisper, "Sandra has found love. Mark is treating her like a queen. This one is different." And truly it looked like a fairy tale. But inside that fairy tale, something dark was hiding. But love like this, they don't always end well. One quiet evening, the moon was soft in the sky. Sandra was in Mark's room, smiling at her phone. Then, ring ring, her phone buzzed again. Mark looked up from where he was sitting. "Who is that?" he asked. His voice was calm, but cold. Sandra, still smiling, said, "Just a friend." But Mark's face changed. His brows folded like squeezed cloth. "A man?" he asked. Sandra looked at him. "It doesn't matter. We're just talking." That's when the thunder came. "Don't play with me," he shouted. And before she could blink, his hand landed on her cheek. Pa! Her head turned with the slap. The room shook. Even the air froze. But Sandra didn't cry. She held her face, breathed deep, and slap, she gave it back. They stood facing each other, eyes hot, hearts louder than drums. Then voices came from outside. "Open this door. Are you people fighting again?" Neighbors rushed in. They held Mark back. They held Sandra. She picked her bag. Her face was red. Her heart was boiling. She walked out that night, her steps loud like marching feet. But the sun had not even set the next day. Sandra was back at his door, her eyes soft, her lips quiet, her bag in hand. "I love him," she whispered. "I can't live without him." And just like that, she stepped back into the fire. Again. After that night, something in Mark grew bigger and darker. He no longer waited for Sandra to come home. He came to her work every day, standing by the door like a shadow. He didn't talk much. He just watched, like a lion watching a goat. If a man came too close, even to ask for water, Mark's eyes would turn red. "Why did you smile at him?" he'd ask. "I was just being polite," Sandra would say. But Mark never believed. Sometimes, when they were alone, he would grip her wrist too hard. "Look at me when I talk to you," he'd say. Other times, he would shout until the walls shook, and sometimes he hit her. One afternoon, Sandra came to work with a scarf around her neck and sleeves down to her fingers. But the scarf could not hide the pain in her eyes. Her friends noticed the marks. "What happened to your arm?" Amaka asked. Another friend whispered, "Did he beat you again?" Sandra smiled, a weak, small smile. "No, it's nothing," she said. "He was just correcting me. He loves me. He's not like that all the time." They looked at her. She looked away. But deep inside her, something was breaking, like glass under bare feet. Still, she stayed. Because in her mind, love must come with pain. Then one night, it happened again. Sandra was inside Mark's house. The fight started over something small, a smile, a message, a word. It was because she laughed on the phone. Who are you laughing with? Why are you laughing when I'm angry? Mark groaned. Before she could answer, his fist hit her shoulder. She screamed. Mark shouted. She shouted back. Then the walls began to hear the sounds again. The same sounds, blows, cries, footsteps. He grabbed her by the arm and dragged her to the door. Get out! He roared. Before she could speak, he pushed her out like old broom. The night was cold. The street was quiet. Her feet were bare. Her wrapper was falling. Her face was wet, not from rain, but from tears. She walked, one leg after another, like a bird with broken wings. Then she stopped in front of a small blue gate. She knocked softly, once, twice, no answer. Then again, 3 knocks. The door opened slowly. It was Amaka. When she saw Sandra, her mouth opened, but no words came. Her eyes filled fast. Sandra's lip was cut. Her eye was swollen. Her shoulder looked red. Come inside, Amaka whispered, holding her like a mother holds a sick child. Inside the house, under the yellow bulb, Amaka cried. You will die there, she said. Is that what you want? To die in the name of love? Sandra said nothing. She just sat and cried. All night she cried, until the tears turned silent. Morning came, slowly, like an old woman climbing a hill. The sun peeked through the window, touching Sandra's swollen face. Her eyes were red, her lips dry. She had cried till her chest felt empty. Amaka sat beside her, wiping her tears like a big sister. You need to eat something, she said gently. Sandra shook her head. I can't swallow. My heart is bitter. Soon, 2 other friends came, Ngozi and Chinelo. They carried food, hot yam, palm oil, and soft bread. When they saw Sandra, their hands flew to their mouths. Sandra, Ngozi said, he did this to you? Chinelo sat beside her and touched her hand. You can't go back there, you hear me? You will not survive it next time. They all sat with her. No one joked. No one smiled. Then Sandra spoke, slowly, her voice thin like paper. I'm tired, she said. I can't go back. I won't go back. Even if he begs, even if he kneels, I won't follow him again. Tears rolled again, but her voice stood tall. Her friends hugged her tight, like a broken pot they didn't want to lose. They smiled for the first time. Thank you, Amaka whispered. We've been waiting to hear you say this. And for a moment, it felt like the sky had cleared, but the storm was not done yet. That evening, the house was calm. The friends made tea and told small jokes just to make Sandra smile. She smiled a little, ate a little, even bathed and changed her wrapper. Then night came, and they all slept. But when morning came, Sandra's mat was empty. Her clothes were gone. Her bag, gone. Even her slippers by the door, gone. Sandra? Amaka called. No answer. She checked the toilet, checked the back of the house, nothing. She grabbed her phone and dialed. Once, twice, 10 times. Still, nothing. Nongozi and Chinelo rushed over. What do you mean she's gone? They asked. They all looked at each other. Then, without a word, they left the house. Their legs carried them straight to the one place they feared, Mark's compound. And there, by the gate, stood Sandra. She was sweeping, quietly, like nothing had happened. Her face looked plain. No tears, no smile, just empty. Her eyes, they looked far away, like someone who got lost inside herself. Sandra, Amaka shouted. Sandra looked up but didn't say anything. What are you doing here? Ngozi asked. You said you were done. Sandra looked down and said, I just wanted peace. I love Mark. I can't live without him. But there was no peace in her voice, only silence and sorrow. Because while all this was happening, Sandra was just a girlfriend, not yet a wife in Mark's house. Time passed like breeze that forgets to stop. One day, Mark wore a clean white shirt. He came with elders. He came with drinks. He came with yam, cola, goat, and wine. They knocked on Sandra's family door. "We have come to marry your daughter," they said. And so the wedding happened. There was music. There was jollof rice. People danced. Some smiled, others watched quietly. "She finally married him," they whispered. "Maybe he will change now." But Mark did not change. Months later, Sandra gave birth to a baby girl, small, software beautiful. They named her Elizabeth. Her eyes looked like stars. Her laugh sounded like a bell. Sandra smiled again. She kissed Elizabeth's feet. She sang lullabies. Her heart for a while felt full. But Mark's voice got louder. His anger grew hotter. He shouted over food. He shouted over salt. He shouted when Elizabeth cried at night. He slammed doors. He broke plates. Sometimes, Sandra would hold the baby tight and sit in the corner until morning. Her friends stopped visiting. The neighbors stopped knocking. Yet, Sandra stayed. She looked at her baby and said, "This is love. Love is not easy." She believed her pain was proof. She believed staying made her strong. But inside the walls, trouble was still growing. Then, one afternoon, something happened. The sky was bright. The air was sweet. Sandra hummed as she walked through the market, basket in hand. Her birthday was coming soon, and she wanted to cook something special. She bought fresh peppers, ripe plantains, goat meat, and soft yam. "Let me surprise him," she said. She smiled. Even the trader smiled with her. She got home early. The house was quiet. Elizabeth was with her aunt, so Sandra tiptoed in, her heart dancing like drum beats. She opened the kitchen door, dropped the basket, and walked to the bedroom. But the moment she opened that door, her breath stopped. Her eyes stretched wide. Her heart froze. Mark was on the bed with another woman, their bodies close, their laughter low. The room spun. Sandra's ears rang like bells. Her legs shook like dry leaves in wind. The woman on the bed didn't see her yet, but Mark looked up. Their eyes met, and in that 1 second, all the bruises, all the pain, all the tears Sandra had swallowed, everything boiled. She turned around and headed for the kitchen. She entered the kitchen. She opened the drawer. She grabbed the biggest knife. The metal felt cold in her hand, but her body was hot, too hot, like fire that had waited too long to burn. She stormed back into the room. The woman on the bed sat up, confused, scared. Mark stood halfway. "Sandra, wait," he said. But Sandra had no more words, only rage. She raised the knife. 1, blood. 2, more blood. 3, 4, 5. The bed turned red. Mark shouted. The woman screamed. But Sandra's hand didn't stop. At the door, little Elizabeth stood, her tiny hands holding the frame, her big eyes wide with fear. "Mummy," she said. But Sandra didn't hear. She stabbed, again and again, until the man she once loved stopped moving. The room was silent. Only Elizabeth's breathing could be heard, and then a voice screamed from the bed. Then the woman on the bed screamed. Her voice cracked like broken glass. Tears poured from her eyes. "Stop! It's me, Adaiz." Sandra froze. The knife slipped from her hand and dropped to the floor. Clang. Her heart stopped. She turned slowly. Adaiz, her own sister. Same blood, same womb, same childhood. Adai's face was soaked with tears. I came to plan your birthday surprise, she cried. Mark wanted it to be special. He told me not to tell you. We were decorating the room. You came back too early. Sandra's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her legs shook. Her hands trembled like dry leaves in strong wind. Elizabeth stood at the door, still watching, her small body frozen, her eyes full of something that no child should ever carry. Mark lay on the bed, not moving, his chest rising slowly, blood everywhere, his lips whispering something nobody could hear. They rushed him to the hospital. Doctors ran, nurses shouted, machines beeped, clothes were soaked, hands pressed his chest, tubes entered his nose. But by nightfall, it was over. Mark was dead. Just like that. A man that brought gifts. A man that shouted. A man that laughed. A man that hurt. Gone. And Sandra sat in the waiting room, her hands still shaking, her heart broken open. The police came, big men in black. They put chains on Sandra's hands, like a goat going to the market. She didn't fight. She didn't speak. She just walked with them, like a shadow that had lost its body. In court, the judge looked at her and said, "You took a life. Now, yours will stay behind bars. Life in jail." The gavel hit. Bam. It was done. Elizabeth was taken to live with her uncle in another town. She held her doll and looked back one last time. "Mummy," she whispered. Sandra watched from the police van. Tears rolled. Not loud ones, just quiet. Slow. Heavy. In prison, she sat alone. Every day, she looked at the wall. Every night, she closed her eyes and saw three faces. Mark, laughing with her under mango trees. Adais, crying on that bloody bed. And Elizabeth, standing at the door, watching her mother break into pieces. Sometimes she wept. Sometimes she rocked herself like a baby. Outside in Abia town, people told the story. They sat in front of shops and shook their heads. She loved him too much, one would say. But love without peace, another would add. It will burn everything, everything. And just like that, Sandra's name became a warning. A song without music, a tale told in whispers. I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video, comment what you learned from the story, share with friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more African tales just like this one. Thank you.